Welcome Viv and Douglas to the call. Hello, hello. And, just maybe take a moment just to make sure you have like a lovely beverage if you need to be hydrated, that you have a comfortable place to sit or even lay down. You can be wherever you are in this space. Just kind of shaking off the world, all the energies of the outside, letting your body just relax, right? Sometimes we hold ourselves up, we're so tense. So we're just like relaxing in. We're going to play a little bit today, well, a lot, and we're going to connect and open up your creativity again. If you've been a little blocked in that area, I know what it's like to have writer's block, and welcome Janet to the call. It's lovely to have you here. So welcome everyone to Going Beyond Normal. We love to do that, right? And this is about dancing with your inner muse. We're going to do a really great energetic exercise today to get you in touch with that inner animating spark. We're going to have some time for you to connect with other lovely, sensitive, creative, maybe a little bit rebellious souls, and we'll get to chat with each other in a safe environment. And we're just so happy that you're here. I wanted to share, every morning I do an oracle reading, and this was the card that came up. I'm trying to make sure you can see this. And it says electricity. So you can see this person just completely open, everything flowing. I thought, wow, how great is that? We definitely want to spark things up today. So we're so honored by all of you who decided to spend your Saturday or Sunday, wherever you are in the world, with us, whoever's joining live. And then I know there'll be some people who are watching the replay. And some of you might be at the very beginning of your creative journey. Others may have been walking this path a little longer, or maybe even you express your creativity as a career. So all are welcome here. This is an inclusive space. I am Bevin Niemann-Cortez. I am a prolific writer. Writing feels like breathing to me. Maybe some of you can understand that. I'm a nature photographer, an ecstatic dancer, and probably an intermediate level digital artist. So I delve in a lot of different areas of creativity. And I want to introduce my colleague, Rebecca Johns, who is a master teacher, an intuitive leader, a social visionary, and in her words, a positive deviant. So Rebecca, if you'd like to just say hi and have any welcoming comments for the group today.
Oh, thank you. Hi, and I'm here to learn and grow just like everybody else is and support Bevin and see where we all go. So I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. We're just so happy to have you here. And Rebecca and I will be facilitating the upcoming Zone of Genius program, which we will tell you about at the end of this. We want to do all of the great activities and networking first. If you do not already have a blank sheet of paper or a journal or something like that, you might want to take a moment to gather that with something to write with, just in case you need to notate anything that you receive intuitively. I always like to do that. And we want to begin by co-creating a sacred container. This isn't just Rebecca and I's workshop. We are doing this as a group, as a community, as a matrix of people from all over the world. So you can help us with this by closing your eyes for just a moment. And we're asking you to tune in and just ask for a word or a short phrase to help set the intention for this gathering, for you and everyone else who's present. So let's just listen in for a moment. And once you receive this word or short phrase, please go to the chat button at the bottom of your screen and share with the group so we can spark up this energy. I'm going to kind of peek into the chat here and see what you put in. What is your intention for this group today? Love it. Inner peace, calm, presence, discovery, sacred circle of support, growth, energy. peace and joy, inner spark. Ah, beautiful. Heart-centered, receiving. Yes, we want to get in that receptive mode. Mine came in as fire energy, but maybe that's because I'm in Aries and we're almost in that time. I'm ready for my season. Energized, appreciation. Yes, I'd love to appreciate everyone who's here. So today we are going beyond normal, right? So what does that mean to bypass convention, to sail into the realm of possibility? Well, you know, when you strike out into any kind of creative venture, whether you're doing it as a career, as a hobby, or just because you're so passionate about it, artists and writers and dancers and actors and all the people, inventors, are often just a little quirky, right? We're not quite in alignment sometimes with the mainstream, and yet we live in this physical reality. We live in a system, in a society, wherever you are in the world, that we have to navigate that. So we don't get as many opportunities to just be in that zone of genius, in that creative flow, right? And creativity is available to everyone, because it is an energy of expansion and play and experimentation, you know, and I like to say it's experimentation without the sense of failure, right? So if we look at it as nothing I try is failing, everything is exactly as it is. I try this and it's like, no, that's not quite right. So then I try something else and it's like, well, it's getting closer. And then I try a third thing, you're like, ooh, that's feeling good now, right? So when we start to release that sense that if I don't put this out perfectly, and this is something we really deal with when we're highly sensitive people, empaths, intuitives, you know, that somehow it's going to destroy me. Somehow, you know, everyone's going to criticize me, and we have these kind of feelings, right? And sometimes life and our adulting responsibilities puts a barrier between you and your inner muse, right? So it's like, oh, I've got to pay bills. I need to do dishes. I need to do this errand. I have to do this thing. And the earthly realm, even taking care of your physical body, can feel like a burden sometimes. You know, it kind of deadens the voice that just wants to bring you joy and excitement. So if you felt blocked or don't seem to be receiving inspiration, or you don't have enough time, you're feeling like to actually do your creative projects, it happens to all of us, right? And I've learned that there is a natural ebb and flow, right? So sometimes we receive like a flood of intuitive information. Sometimes it comes in so fast, you're like, okay, that's enough, right? But then there's a natural pause to allow you to integrate what's happening, what you're receiving, because we need that time. We need that time to process it. We need that time to understand it. Sometimes we have to walk through additional life experiences in order to be able to integrate that and then actually do something with it in the physical realm. So I call it transforming your inner knowing into outer action. And it's, in my belief, why we came here as souls in human vessels, is to actually bring this down from whatever you call that, God, goddess, source, universe, you name it, and bring it in, that collective consciousness, and then make it tangible, make it something that actually benefits humanity, it benefits individual people, it benefits our planet, right? In some way, shape, or form. That's what we're here for. So today, you're going to get to meet your inner muse or muses. Some people have more than one. And I think that sometimes muses come in at certain times when you need them, and then maybe they go off and someone else comes in to do that. Your muse may be ancestor spirits. It could be angels if you believe in that. It can be whatever it is that feels, the elementals, right? Whatever feels great for you is how your inner muse is going to show up. And so today you'll be able to see and hear and smell and touch and taste this animating spark, right? The spark of energy, the spark of life. This right here. This is what we're talking about, right? When we're on fire for it, when we're just so passionate. And it brings you this endless well of ideas. Sometimes we think, oh no, it's drying up. I'm not going to get anything. I don't know how to fix this problem. I don't know what the solution is. There is always another possibility, an idea that will come forth. And your inner muse is that inner voice that won't quiet down until you've written it, danced it, performed it, painted it, talked to the person, it's like, and it's always there. And you're just thinking about it and it's coming up and you're like, okay, I know, right? We have these conversations, right? So I love that you have set aside a special time today to connect with your muse. And we're going to do that now. We're going to go into the visualization, the meditation part. So again, I encourage you to just get comfortable in your space. And if you'd like to turn off your camera, I'm going to turn off my camera. It helps us just to be in our own space. You can express and move, do whatever you need to do as it feels good and whatever comes up for you. You can choose to sit or stand or lie down, whatever your body needs at this time. Okay. So just make yourself comfortable. Get into a space, get your spine aligned. Place both of your hands on your heart and begin to feel its rhythm. And notice the breath that's coming in and out of your body at a natural pace. Just feeling your heart beating, feeling the breath coming in and out. And now breathe deeper, feeling it reach down into your belly. Feeling your belly expand. And then exhale. And now breathe even deeper, feeling the life-giving oxygen reaching down into your toes. Breathing in and breathing out. Now I invite you to take a moment to scan your body and sense where there's a warm spot. It might be glowing, pulsating, or even rotating. Just notice what area feels warm in your body. And sit with it for a moment, embracing its warmth and comfort. This is your inner muse who's been craving a conversation. And now ask that warm spot, your inner muse, to gently float out from your body until the two of you are facing each other at eye level. And just enjoy this moment of connection. Soak in each other's energy and presence. Receive unconditional love and admiration. So take a moment to observe your muse or your muses for a moment. Do they exude one or more colors? Is there a particular scent that wafts off of your muse? Just smell energetically. If you reach your hand out to physically connect, what textures do you experience from your muse? Just feel. What does your muse feel like? Does your muse evoke a certain flavor on your taste buds? Just savor it for a moment. And now it's time to ask and listen. Your inner muse has been waiting for you to ask a question you've been longing to express. You may ask anything, even your heart's deepest desire. Ask it now and listen quietly for the answer. And now invite your muse to expand to the size of your entire body, then effortlessly merge your two energy fields. Feel that creative spark wash over you. And take a moment to thank your inner muse or muses, not only for any insights you've received, but for their constant presence in your life. At any moment, you can tune in and receive information exactly when you need it. And your muse is who you are. It's really not something outside of you. It is your core essence. It's why you're here. It's what you're meant to express and to share with the world in whatever way you choose. I'm just going to bask for a moment in that creative spark. And now begin to focus again on your breathing, coming fully into your body, beginning to move your fingers and toes, your legs or hips, your shoulders or neck. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes and come back into the space with us. And I invite you to take a few moments to write or draw or record anything you've received. It's likely that you'll come back later and maybe find new meaning. And just give a few minutes to allow everyone to integrate. And I'd love if there were maybe 3 people who felt bold and brave today, who wanted to maybe share just a sentence or two to describe what it was like to dance with your inner muse. If so, you can unmute yourself and briefly share your sentence. And by the way, it's very common in a group of sensitive, creative people for everyone to go, is it going to be me? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to share.
What did it feel like? I just felt so much joy, like, oh my gosh, like meeting an old friend, like a really, really good friend. And maybe I thought I'd never meet up with them again, but like here we are. And it's like, oh, like exuberant joy. That's what I felt.
It was just felt really nice experience that reminding me to like Muse is within me, but in order for me to activate her or merge with her is just to simply move my body, not necessarily just the body, but move the energy, even if it just has to do with the voice, just maybe like singing or whatever that is, humming.
I saw through the object to outer space and stars and darkness and nebulae, and I think that the message was you don't need to use language for me anyway. This isn't about, and I love words. It's so the message for me isn't about language. It's about the direct connection.
Well, such beautiful imagery. Yeah, there are things that we know that are beyond our ability to articulate and our humanness, right? Our connection with all that is. And I love the symbolism of the sunflower and how you were honing in on the kind of brown, the deep brown section in the middle. And I grew sunflowers a lot when I was a child. I grew up on a farm, and that deep brown middle part is filled with seeds. I mean, there are hundreds of seeds in that center. And so, that would be really interesting to continue to explore, perhaps, to see, what are all of those seeds? what is going to sprout? What do I want to germinate? Sometimes we don't receive an answer right away, and that can be really frustrating because we want to, we want to go in and we want to tune in and we want to have that answer, and nothing's there. And we're like, okay, am I asking the wrong question? And then all this self-doubt starts to come in. Sometimes our ego self will go, but then you're like, no, just stay with it. See what's there. There's something underneath. There's something deeper. And that's what happened. And it was just amazing. Thank you to all of you that shared. And I want to take us now into a really special space. And, we don't often get a chance to sit and talk with other amazing, sensitive, intuitive, creative souls. And this is your opportunity. So we are going to divide into smaller groups. I'm going to put you into different rooms. And I'm going to give you a question prompt. So, sometimes we go into a room and we're like, what am I supposed to talk about? Right? It gets so awkward, but you're going to have a question. And you can explore it. And really what I invite you to do is, each person will have about 4 or 5 minutes to speak. And if you don't want to share, you can say pass. So this is one of the things that is always a guideline in one of my experiences or classes, is that you don't have to share. If you're not in the space, you don't feel like it today, it's okay. You can just sit and hold space for the other people in the room. So the question is, if there is one thing that you could bring out into the world, make tangible before your soul leaves this plane, this earthly plane, what would that be? Right? So you can sit with that for just a minute. And I also encourage you, if you don't know what this is, to just start talking and things will come out. And you're like, where did that come from? I don't know what that is, but it'll appear, it'll be there. And then maybe listening to other people talking about their, deepest vision for what they'd like to create, what they'd like to bring in the world, will actually give you inspiration and help you with this process.
And I'm trying to incorporate all those natural elements into energetic healing and make that more intertwined. And that's what I actually want to create a healing space. I live in a beautiful part of the United States here, where I'm in the mountains, and it's just a beautiful place to create like a natural healing place. But before I create that, I want to create the actual modalities, like where I'm actually healing in the water and healing with fire around and healing like up in the air, and like what forest bathing out to a healing space, like that kind of thing. And so that is what I feel is my dharma, is my soul's contract, is to create that. That's what I would like to make tangible before I leave.
See, everyone's coming back in now. I'd love for you to just drop into the chat. What was that like to connect with other people, to if you were in the breakout rooms, if you were voicing this out and being heard by others, if you were choosing to be solo and maybe writing or drawing. I know some people said that they were sketching. You know, what was this feeling like to commune with other people and to actually be seen and heard? You know, sometimes we're like, oh, I'm going to speak about this. I'm going to say what's really on my heart, right? What's really on my heart, you know, my deepest desire, this thing that just keeps connecting me back over and over and over. You know, I just cannot get away from it. I'm watching videos about it. I'm learning. I'm training myself to do it. And yet sometimes we feel like we're sort of walking this path, you know, on our own, right? And so it's challenging when we're working in a silo, when we're working in isolation. And I was in isolation for many, many years. I was a hermit. I'm an introvert, deep introvert. And so I understand how it feels to just kind of have all these ideas and know where to take them, no one to talk to. I had a wonderful friend. I worked as a landscape designer for about 12 years. And I had a friend who was also creative. He went to art school. We both had that in common. And I loved it. That was my favorite part of working. Like, there were so many things I did not like about working in the corporate world, but I loved having that person to just bounce ideas. And even though I don't work in that industry anymore, sometimes he and I call each other up and I'm like, so what are you working on? And we talk about plants and we dive in, and we're, you know, he's telling me about his projects, and it's just so energizing, right? It's just so energizing to understand that there are other people who have this experience. So, you know, people said it was nice to actually speak it out loud to other sensitives, you know, and someone said, I didn't know that I would ever share this with anyone, to be honest. And, you know, that is the place where the inner muse starts to languish. You know, when we're like, well, I don't know, maybe this vision is too big. Maybe society or someone in our world told us it's unrealistic. You know, there's lots of reasons why. Maybe we have a lot of responsibilities and we have to focus on those things, and we have a limited amount of time to really get ourselves into that creative zone. There's many reasons why we might hold ourselves back. One of my reasons I held myself back was that I was really fearful of writing about conscious leadership. You know, leadership has been, you know, pretty toxic in a lot of ways in many places. And there's pushback that happens, you know, when we put ourselves out there in the world. So I held myself back from doing that, from really speaking that out and talking about that and writing about that. And so, you know, we understand as creatives, as sensitives, why this is so important to us. And we understand sometimes why we have these barriers that prevent us from always dancing with our inner muse and living in a way that honors that passion, you know, that one thing that you want to bring out. And it might be more than one thing. A lot of people are multi-potentialites, right? And we're interested and we kind of dabble and dive into the different things, but probably underneath that, there's some kind of common theme. Some kind of common theme. There's something that's really passionate. There's a message you want to get out. There's a group of people that you'd love to reach. Or you're at a stage in your life where you're like, I'd really love to pass this wisdom on. If you've loved being a part of this group of passionate creative souls, my own inner muse felt really called over the last 2 months to really bring out an ongoing process like this, where we could meet on a regular basis. And Rebecca and I have been on Zoom calls, co-creating, talking about different elements of this program. And what emerged was the Zone of Genius Incubator. And I actually had a dream about this 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to live in Central or South America, and I'm going to be running this incubator. What does that mean? For sensitive souls. And so sometimes we receive things and we have no idea about the timing. And a couple of months ago, it's like, no, this is coming up now. And I've moved to Mexico. And so, you know, here I am on this call talking about something that my own inner muse is so passionate about. Because part of my soul mission, part of, I think, Rebecca's life purpose here is to really empower people to have their voice, empower people to trust themselves. Right? This is so important. Empower people to live a life that is meaningful.
I think for many of us, it's having a safe place. You know, a lot of us have, as Bevin said, I'm in my mid-70s and we were hiding. Hiding in each other's living rooms, you know, finding each other and going, is it just me, or is it way bigger than we think it is? And it is. And I think having a safe place to grow and learn and listen, and with no expectation of you have to talk and you have to, you know, it's just sort of, you can show up and learn and grow, and you wouldn't have shown up today if there wasn't something here for you. One of the other things that I have lived, you know, my whole life is this experience of when the knock gets loud enough, you can't ignore it. There's something going on here that after a while, we just pay attention to it, and it hardly ever makes sense. So it doesn't mean that our intellect isn't a powerful tool that we need to use all the time for obvious reasons. But our intuition and our inner knowing and our access to the unseen world is equally as powerful. And you know, we're meant to bring this into this form. So if you keep getting images or thoughts or things that won't leave you alone, it's just information. Somewhere along the way, realize that I need to live my legacy, not leave my legacy. Otherwise, I won't actually, like, what am I leaving, right? I would guess that most of us don't feel like we fit in. And I said in my small group, we're not here to do that. And thank goodness we find each other sooner or later. And actually, the virtual world has made that really easy and really accessible. And so again, it's safe. It's a place to explore. You know, you're not crazy. All this stuff is real. And there's a reason why we're the ones who are bringing these things, you know, to light. My bookshelf is like all about metaphysics and intuition and channeling, and, you know, from, as Bevin said, the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And then I'm a professional development leadership coach. And one day, like 5 years ago, I thought, why am I not teaching intuition as a leadership skill? As if those are two different realities. And it is. And most people in leadership positions will say, I trust my gut, I follow my hunches. And now, because we have so much access, you know, we can apply this in so many ways so that we're, you know, not just hanging out in metaphysical world, but we're bringing it into form, into the structures of the world that we live in, because it's time. And the thing about knowing it's time is that it's terrifying until we find out that we're not alone. So Bevin has this way of integrating, you know, the third dimensional world with the unseen world that's very practical and very grounded, while at the same time being incredibly expansive. So if you're interested in expanding and then grounding it into something that you can bring into the world, this is an amazing opportunity.
This group program where we get to meet twice a month. We get to set aside time deliberately to dance with our inner muse. We get to set aside time to talk and brainstorm and connect and share resources and build collaborations and develop friendships with other people who are creative, right? Because we don't create in a vacuum. We create in a space of inspiration where we build upon each other and everything is sort of derivative, right? I hear something, I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. I wonder how I can take that and make that my own. And this is how it all works. And we're pleased to say that the opening ceremony for this new group is on Saturday, March 25th, which also happens to be my birthday, and it's 2 weeks from now. So, you know, I'm excited on all levels. And this is a safe, creative, spiritual, and communal container, right? To help you craft a legacy from your long-held desires and your aligned ideas. So let's talk about legacy for a minute, right? Legacy work usually comes up when you know that your hard-won wisdom and your insight is not supposed to fade away when your soul exits this plane. And it really isn't dependent upon age, right? So legacy desires, legacy work can come up when you've experienced a loss and you realize that time is short. Or when you have a series of spiritual awakenings or reawakenings, and you're like, something is calling to me. And there's really something important that I'm here to do. There's a deeper purpose for everything that you've been through, every part of the path that you've walked so far. And Rebecca and I talk about this through line, right? This through line, you know, from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. This is always how wisdom has been passed down through mentorship, right? Through teaching, through, you know, passing on information through books, through poetry, through theater, through all these things. This is the expression that we have. And one generation mentors, guides, and uplifts the next. Sometimes we have these generation wars, right? You see that on social media. We're all fighting against each other, like whose generation is best and who's destroying the planet and all these things. Why are we doing that? We need to work together. We need to have this through line. We need to have a continuity thread, okay? In the metaphysical school that I studied with, we had something called the continuity thread. And that was our connection from the divine all the way through our chakra system and down into the earth. And there's grounding of your wisdom. And there's passing this on to others. And we designed this program to be a small cohort because we don't want, you know, a million faces on a Zoom screen and it's overwhelming for sensitive people. We want this to be so that we can give each other individualized attention so that all the voices can be heard and so that people can develop trusted relationships with others. So I've ran a number of mastermind groups in the past, and it's just such a beautiful experience to watch people begin and then walk through this entire year together and have this trajectory. And, you know, and those moments where you're like, maybe I'm going to give up, you know, you come into the community and someone else says, no, you know, you've got this, you can do this. What if you try it this way? And that's what this is really about. And we're not only going to dance with our inner muse, but we're also going to have accountability because we'll meet at certain times, certain days and times, the second and fourth Saturdays of each month, to talk about something that's really exciting. Like each participant is going to be working on a capstone project, something that you will work on throughout the entire year. And then you'll actually bring it out into form. And you won't just make it tangible, you'll actually find a way to share it with others. And it doesn't mean you have to be on this massive stage or you have to serve, you know, thousands and thousands of people. You can do that if you want to, and it's fine. But it's just, you know, a commitment to not just letting it stop there, but then, you know, inviting other people who are open and willing to learn from you. And in addition, everyone who participates will receive 6 individual coaching sessions to focus 100% on you and your project. Right, so group is wonderful, and we get that group synergy and all the brainstorming, and then we go into one-to-one and we really make it tangible, and we come up with some action steps that can happen in between the sessions.
You know, I used to say to myself that I'm cleverly disguised as a regular person in a business suit with shoulder pads. Seriously, it's like the costume, right? And then I would be wherever, and I would go, well, there's Juan. Come here. and just sort of wait, because in a room of 50 people or whatever, there would be one that was like, what are you really doing? You know? And so this clever disguise, and then this, what Bevin's speaking to is, I have, to this day, I call friends and go, cover me, I'm going in. You know, I'm going to be in front of this group of people talking about this, and I just need to know you're there, and as soon as I'm done, I can call you, because it's not always the warmest climate in the world, and yet I really believe this, you guys. If I'm not in the front of the room, then whoever is out there looking for it isn't going to find it. And we all end up sort of in these different roles, if you will. So that people like us can find each other and support each other and learn and grow and cover each other and say, you're not crazy. It's time and it's real, and let's do this. So there's no weird kind of, one of the things I hear, and I know Bevin hears this too, is this ability to take really esoteric information and make it really concrete and applicable. Because we're not here to check out, we're here to participate. And that doesn't always feel great, but you know, after a while you start to learn how to take all this and apply it in a tangible way that makes a huge difference. And if you're called to this, you're being called. You're just being called forth, not called out, but called forth into a space of support, to develop the skills to trust that this, yeah, you're who you are for a reason.
I'm scheduling exploratory calls. You know, we can just sit down over a cup of tea, get on a Zoom one-to-one and chat about, you know, what you're wanting to bring into the world. And if this feels like the right container for you to help you do that. And this is always a no pressure call. Like, I do not do pushy or manipulative sales tactics. I believe you have sovereignty. I believe that you know what's best for you. It's just a chat, just to see if it works. If it doesn't, I will find other resources or other things to point you to, right? And so if you're interested in talking further with me about this, I'm going to drop a link in the chat to my calendar, and you can go ahead and schedule a call. And for those of you that are going to be watching on the replay, I will include the link with this as well. We just really appreciate everyone who came today, everyone who dared to show up, everyone who's going to watch this later and really take that time for yourself. You know, whether you decide to join us in the Zone of Genius program or not, I want you to know that you're not alone. And there are many, there are literally billions of sensitive, creative, intuitive souls out there on the planet. We're all doing our little piece. You don't have to save the whole world. We just need to do that part that is yours and trust that everyone else is doing their part.